Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Accessibility Talks, or Alley Talks. This is the monthly virtual meetup where we chat about digital accessibility, inclusivity, and usability. Each month, we invite a speaker to present on a topic, and afterward, we invite the community to ask questions and participate in the discussion. I'm your host today. My name is Andrew Olson, and I'm a software engineer at Principal Financial Group. I use the pronouns he, him, and I am a red-headed male with dark rim glasses and a red beard, and today I'm wearing a blue shirt. Before we dive in, I want to take a moment to remind everyone that our group is committed to creating a friendly and safe environment for all. We expect all participants, that is speakers, hosts, viewers on YouTube, and those commenting on social media to follow the Accessibility Talks Code of Conduct. This applies to all community interactions, including events, verbal questions, and chat and text channels. You can view the full code of conduct on our website at alleytalks.com/conduct. Our goal is to foster productive dialogue where participants can share and learn from one another in an atmosphere of mutual respect. If you have questions today, we love questions. This year, we're shaking things up a bit and we're trying a new format. We're now inviting viewers to submit their questions ahead of each talk so that we can incorporate them into the recording session. If you have a question for our speaker, here's how you can ask. During a live stream video, you can type your question directly into the YouTube chat window. If you're not watching live, you can still post your questions. Just add them to the comments section of YouTube or share them on LinkedIn, Mastodon, or Blue Sky, or any of the socials where you can find Alley Talks. Just be sure to @Alley Talks and include the hashtag Alley Talks, and that is A11yTalks. Direct links to all of our social media platforms can be found on our website. We look forward to hearing from you. A huge shout out to our bronze sponsors. Thank you so much, Agile Collective and Principal Financial Group. As I said, I belong to Principal Financial Group, so I'm very excited that they are one of our bronze sponsors. We really appreciate your support. Additional support is provided by our Alley Cat Club members who donate monthly to Alley Talks, and some of them do one-time donations as well. Thank you so much for your financial contributions. Would you or your organization like to sponsor Alley Talks? It really goes a long way to help us fund these amazing monthly meetups. Visit our sponsor page at alleytalks.com/sponsorship to learn more. We need your financial support to compensate our amazing speakers and improve our live stream productions to provide the best content possible for our community. If your company uses Benevity for matching donations or gifts, you can double your contribution. Just search for Alley Talks within Benevity, and we should appear as Alley Talks by Midwest Open Source Alliance. Today, I am very excited. We have Vaishali Taneja, an accessibility test engineer and UX lead. We have a fun fact about Vaishali where she enjoys problem solving and puzzles, especially those like seating arrangements or some reasoning questions. Hey, Vaishali, would you like to give me an example of some kind of puzzle?
Yes. So, for example, means most of the puzzles that I like, for example, there are 12 people facing north and 12 people facing south. They are seated in the parallel row, and there are means, for example, means I like to solve these type of questions. I'm just giving an example.
Yeah.
So, there are means we have given like A is seated left side and facing the north, and we have few alphabets presented, and we have to find the position of M, that M seated where. So these type of question I like very much to solve, and it's like mental workout for me, that okay, I can solve this like this.
That's great. When you said about solving a puzzle or like seating arrangements, I thought it was like when I get a group of friends, I want to make sure my one friend that doesn't get along with the other friend doesn't sit by each other. So that's different kind of problem solving, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, I'm really excited to hear your talk today. So, whenever you're ready, go ahead and present your slides, and I'll be off camera here, but right here for you, and excited to learn more about your topic. Thanks, Vishali.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, I'm beginning with the slides. So, thank you so much, first of all, and it's an honor for me to here today. As the topic we have selected is WCAG 2.2 and beyond, the key updates and essential guidelines that we should know about that. Okay, so just let me brief about myself. I'm an accessibility test engineer in the HCL Technologies. I have 4.2 years of experience in the accessibility domain, where my focus is on helping the team to build digital product more accessible and user friendly. Apart from the professional role, I also worked within the UX team of the accessible community as a volunteer. And this role allows me to work with the like minded professionals and also provide me a platform to collaborate or to advocate for the accessibility at the very grassroots level. Now, as I said, I'm going to speak at WCAG 2.2 and beyond. So in this topic we will explore what new guidelines have been added and why they have been added, means why WCAG 2.2 has came, and what are the practical implications of WCAG 2.2, and how we can go beyond of compliance to make the digital product more equitable and meaningful for all the users. So this is the agenda of our talk, means we will be covering WCAG. Although we all know or we are aware of WCAG, what WCAG is, but we have basic understanding of what is WCAG, and then we have what's new in WCAG. As I said, essential guidelines, practical implication, and beyond compliance we are going to do. So coming to that, let me brief introduce the WCAG. What is that? So the full form of WCAG acronym is Web Content Accessibility Guideline. It is an initiative of W3C, that is Worldwide Consortium. Now it is designed, or it is a standard, means internationally recognized standards, which ensures that the digital product are accessible to the users with disabilities, and it is based on the principles of PO, that is perceivable, operable, understandable, and robust. Means whatever the content or digital content we have is either means is perceivable to the user or not, means user can perceive the information. It should be operable, means all the content whichever is presented to the user in digital media, they are operable, and the user can understand the content, and overall the content should be robust. So this is quick info about the WCAG. Now we are just coming to the WCAG 2.2. Here the 9 new success criteria has been added. These are the success criteria that has been added, such as focus not obscured minimum and enhanced, focus appearance, dragging movement, target size minimum, consistent help, redundant entry, accessible authentication minimum, and enhanced. Now we will go one by one to all the new added success criteria. So coming to the first, that is focus not obscured minimum, the level of conformance is AA, and the success criteria number is 2411. So it says that whenever the user interface component is receiving the keyboard focus, the component which is receiving the keyboard focus is not entirely hidden. Means the keyboard focus or the component should be partially visible in the user's viewport. For this, authors must design their interactions by reducing the degree and frequency with which the particular component is getting obscured by the author created content. Now we will talk about the typical examples, means the typical examples which can overlap with the UI, such as a sticky footer, sticky header, and we have the cookie banner, like that. For example, I'm taking the example of a notification message, a notification which is implemented using the uh, sticky content, such as a cookie banner. So it will fail the success criteria because the content which getting overlapped with the cookie banner is not accessible, means the user cannot see that component, and the focus is not on which the focus is there, the user is not see that particular component, so it will fail this success criteria. To fix this issue, we can use the modal banner so that user can close that particular notification by using escape key, which user can use directly, and the user can navigate to the component which is getting overlapped and can see that which component is having the focus. So, and why it matters means who will going to impact with this, the person with memory limitations or having the low visions will get impacted, as the user who used keyboard to interact with the control, they will not be able to identify that which particular component is having the focus. So here it will help that the users or the sighted user will get benefited from this. So how to test this focus not obscured minimum is that we can test with a tab or a shift tab by visually enabling the overlays. Now coming to the next slide, as it is focus not obscured enhanced, the level of conformance is AAA, means a level of conformance indicates the degree of accessibility. So here the success criteria number is 2412. As we have previously discussed, that was focus not obscured minimum. Means from the name it is clear that in this success criteria it is talking about the enhanced. Means whenever the user interface component receives the keyboard focus, it should be properly visible. Means it should not get obscured. It should be properly visible in the user screen viewport. Now coming to that, the same applies here. Means the sighted users and the persons with memory limitations and the persons with low visions benefit from this success criteria, because they can see that which component is having the focus and through which component they are going to interact by closing that particular, means sticky footer. For example, if there is the sticky footer presented there, and when user navigates to the component, the component means the component gets scrolled up, and it was implemented by scroll padding. So this is about the focus not obscured. And the third success criteria is of focus appearance, and it is of AAA conformance, and the success criteria number is 2413. It says that whenever the keyboard focus indicator is visible, it should meet the following criteria, such as it should have at least as large as 2 CSS pixel of thick perimeter of the unfocused component or the subcomponent, or as having the contrast ratio of at least 3 is to 1 within the same pixel of the focused and unfocused component. Now here we have doubts. For example, earlier we have focus visible, that is 247, and we have 1411, that is non-text contrast. Then why we need this focus appearance? So focus visible and the 1411, that is of non-text contrast, they dealt with few things. For example, the focus visible says that in the component the keyboard focus should be visible, but it doesn't says about the visibility of the keyboard focus. So focus appearance sets the minimum level of visibility of the keyboard focus. Now coming to 1411, as it talks about the 3 is to 1 ratio, then why we need focus appearance? So coming to that, focus in the 1411, it says the contrast ratio of the component should be at least 3 is to 1 with the background in each of its state. But focus appearance says that the contrast ratio of the focus indicator should be 3 is to 1. It doesn't says about the state, it doesn't says about the background, it says that the focus indicator should have the ratio of at least 3 is to 1. And why it matters, similarly here, that sighted users or people with memory limitations will get benefit from this, means they totally depend on the keyboard focus, and if they are not able to identify the keyboard focus or the keyboard focus is not properly visible, then user will not be able to identify that or will have the confusion while interacting. So how means what we can do in this case, we can provide the clear borders, means darker border we can provide, or we can provide the outlines on the components with the proper bordering, and we can change the background respective to that. Here the exception is that uh, when the focus indicator is created by the user agent and not modified by the author, means the author cannot modify that focus indicator. So this is the exception of this focus appearance. I hope the rules that I have discussed is clear to you. Now I'm moving to the another slide, that is dragging movement. Here the level of conformance is AA, and the success criteria name is 257. So it says that all the functionality that uses dragging operations to perform the task should be accessible with a single pointer, unless that dragging is essential, and that functionality is created by the user agent and not modified by the author. So in this dragging movement again, we have the confusion that one, we have keyboard means 211 rule, and keyboard no exception 213, and we have pointer gesture. Then why we need this dragging movement? Coming to that, 211 213 says that all the dragging features should be accessible with the keyboard, while providing the alternative for the dragging movement as keyboard alternative doesn't meet this criteria, because there is the case, for example, the alternative for the dragging movement has been provided as keyboard, but that component is not accessible with the taps or click. So here it will fail this criteria. So we should have an alternative, means for example for the dragging features we should have the both the alternatives such as keyboard interactions as well as functionality with the pointers. So that means, and these two should be meet independently here. And coming to this pointer gesture, which says that means it depends on the multi-point or path-based gesture. But in the dragging movement, only the start point and the end point matters, not the actual path matters. So that's why we need dragging movements here. And why it matters? It matters to the user who is having the motor disability. So, while navigating the keyboard or with only clicks, they can interact or they can perform the dragging functionality. So, this is the alternative. And coming to the examples of the dragging movements that we have, in the examples, what we can do, for example, we have the map. In the map, user can drag the features to zoom in and zoom out, and inside there is plus minus button is also provided, and with the pointer click user can also change the view. So this is about the 257. Now coming to the target size, minimum, double A, level of conformance, and the success criteria name is 258. What it says that the size of the target to the pointer interaction should be at least 24 into 24 CSS pixel, except when there are few exceptions such as spacing. This target size of the, we can say, which is not meeting the criteria of 24 into 24 CSS pixel, is having the proper spacing, or a circle diameter is provided of 24 into 24 CSS pixel does not intersect with the another target, or with the another target spacing. So in that case, this is the exception. Another, we have the equivalent, means an equivalence is provided here. For example, the user can perform the functionality with the same content, with the content provided in the same page. For example, if I have to activate the notification, so the target size of that notification icon which is provided on the top header is less than that of 24 into 24 CSS pixel, but the another notification button is also provided to perform the same functionality. So I can achieve the same functionality with the notification button. So this is the exception again. And coming to the essential means, that was essential means the design of the target which is less than that of 2424 css pixel is essential, and that was created by the user agent man, means it cannot be modified by the author. Coming to the inline, if the particular target has been used in sentence or is constrained by the line height, then it is also an exception of the target size minimum. So white appears why we have used in the WCAG 2.2. So here it has been introduced to reduce the accidental activation, because sometimes when the target size is less than that of 2424 css pixel, when user activates, we are taking few examples, like there is notification button, beside of that help button is present, beside of that help, um, a new bar is present. So once user activates the notification button, as it is having the target size less than that of 2424 css pixel, instead of that the help option is getting activated. So it will create difficulty for the users and create confusion for the user that they have activated the notification, but the help option is getting activated. So in this case, this will help the users with the mobile usability. So examples as the common controls, or the interactive controls such as buttons, links, checkbox, drop downs, tabs. Coming to the consistent help, and it is of the level of conformance A. Success criteria name is 3.2.6. It says that in a web page, if the following help mechanism is provided, such as the human details, and human details mechanism is provided, and human contact detail is there, and again we have the self help option is provided, and the automated contact detail information or contact detail mechanism is there. So in this case, and that particular help is repeated on a multiple web page within a set of web pages, then that particular help button should be identified, means should be used in the relative same order within the set of web pages. Now how it will help the user, it will help the users to identify the controls easily, and it will enhance the cognitive predictability of the help button. I'm taking the examples. For example, there is the user, means there is the patient who want to book an appointment, and they are not able to find the interactions page, and they need human help with that. So self-help options, or the chat option provided, help chat option is provided, so that user can directly chat with the client or with the staff members to identify the page of interaction or to book the appointment. So in that case, it will help the user, as user can consistently identify the help button provide, help icon or help button or help edit will provided in the pages of multiple web page. And after that, coming to the redundant entry, and it is also the level of conformance A. The success criteria name is 337. So in this case, what happened? Whenever the information entered by the user or has been provided by the user is asked to again enter in the same process, so it should be either auto populated or it should be available for the user to select that particular information, except when that particular information is essential, and that is required for the security purpose to be re-entered again, and the information which is provided by the user earlier is no longer valid. Now if we have to come why it was needed, because earlier we have many of the options of why we have needed this, so it will reduce the cognitive load for the user. For example, there is the form field which is asking for the address, and permanent address and current address, and user has already selected that permanent address and current address is same in the checkbox. Now once user entered the permanent address, the current address, means for example, permanent address user has mentioned, and as he has selected the checkbox, the current address should get auto populated, means user doesn't have to enter means doesn't have to enter it again. So it will reduce the cognitive load, and it will not create frustration for the user. It will help the users to perform the task. Now, coming to the next slide, here we have success criteria 338. This is accessible authentication minimum, that is of AA conformance. Now, what it says that if a cognitive function test, such as remembering a password or solving the puzzle, does not require in any step or process, except um, means doesn't require in any process, and the few uh, criteria has been used. For example, means an alternative should be provided. User should have an alternative to perform that authentication. A mechanism should be provided to the user to assist the users in completing that authentication, and object recognition should be present, means user can perform the authentication by recognizing the object, and the personal content is also provided. For example, user can provide personal information, and user can perform the authentication in that way. So in out of four these, user should have an option to use means user should have an option to complete that authentication process. It will support the users with cognitive disabilities, and the persons with memory limitations. So they will get benefited from this, as they doesn't have to remember the passwords, and they doesn't have to solve the puzzle again, that how to solve it. They doesn't have to stress anymore. They can easily complete it. So as we have seen that many of the form fills, for example, as I have to log in on a web page, I have saved my password on the password manager. Now, when I have to log in it on, it will uh, I just have to enable it, and it will take the password from there, and I will be able to perform my functions directly. I haven't have to re-enter it again by the same process. I can easily use the password managers, that is third party. So by that we can log in. It means the user have the chance to easily authenticate and easily log into the page. Coming to that, it says that accessible authentication enhanced. Now in this is also same as with the accessible authentication minimum, but in this case, here it says that a cognitive function test such as remembering password and solving the puzzle does not require in any step or process, and at least one of the following should be provided, means there should be an alternative, and there should be mechanism provided to assist the user in completing the task. It doesn't talk about the personal content or the object recognition, as we have previously discussed. Here in this case, personal content and the object recognition is needed. Now, the personal content and object recognition can be in any form. It should be in the audio form, it should be in the visual form, it should be in the text format. In any of the format, user can be able to perform the authentications or functions. Now we have the questions that why WCAG 2.2 is needed. We have the WCAG 2.1. So definitely WCAG 2.2 introduced, means if it has come, means there is some gap which is left by the previous version. So definitely this has been come to cater the or to fill the important accessibility gaps which is left by the previous versions, especially those with the cognitive and motor disability. Now, in the WCAG 2.2, as the digital experiences is increasingly involving the touch screens and the pointer interactions and complex authentications, so for that, WCAG 2.2 introduced to cater these modern challenges. As it is based on the WCAG 2.1, new guidelines has been added on it, so that the content should be usable and can reduce the barrier for those with the disabilities and cover a wide range of users irrespective of their disabilities, means overall a goal of this WCAG 2.2 is to make the content usable and more inclusive while covering the broader range of users. So, as we discussed in the starting of our talk, that what will be the practical implications and what will happen with this. As the WCAG 2.2 has been introduced, there are the practical implications on the few of the stakeholders, such as in the designers, developers, QA, and the testing teams, and the product team as well. Coming to the designers, how it will create a practical implications for this means now they have to adjust the tab and the interaction base, as in the target size says that the size of the target should be at least 24 into 24 css pixel. Now they have to adjust the target, and for the developer they have to support the proper keyboard navigation, as we have covered in the focus not obscured, focus not a focus appearance means minimum and enhanced, covered in the focus not obscured, and consistent help should be provided. So coming to the QA and the testing team, they have to update their test plans. They have to use the automated tools and the manual checks properly, and they have to include these basic guidelines or the new guidelines that have been added as in their auditing processes. Now coming to the product team, how this will be a practical implication for product team. Yes, they have to revisit their user flow, such as especially for the form and the summit buttons, or for the consistent help buttons provided, which in the forms, as I said, submit means the form fills which requires the submitting actions, or the buttons, as in the consistent help we have discussed, the consistent help icon should be consistently uh, identifying the multiple web pages. Okay, so what the tools and techniques we are going to use? Simple, what we have used in our testing of WCAG 2.1, we are using that simple tool for as AXE, we have Lighthouse, we have the Wave, we have accessibility insights, and we use browser dev tools, the target sizes, and the ARIA by inspecting that particular code for the component. And there is accessibility scanner for the Android, as by running the accessibility scanner, it directly shows the error related to the target size and other error as well. Okay, so we have beyond compliance. How we can go beyond compliance? We have to look at it. So what WCAG has been done, WCAG is a minimum level of compliance or a minimum level of standards that needs to be meted. But the true accessibility means designing with equity, designing with empathy, designing with the real world users. So, what we have to do to go beyond compliance, we have to include the users with disability in the very early phases of design and in the testing processes. We have to take accessibility as an ongoing responsibility, not a one time task. Okay, that we have completed the checklist, accessibility has been done. No, we have to think as accessibility as our ongoing responsibility. We have to design our UI or our digital component as means the instructions should be clear on our web pages or the digital content, and it should be properly navigable. It should be support it There should be support for assistive tech users. So in this way we can go beyond compliance. Now this is surprising, we have WCAG 3.0, the future. Here the code name is Silver, and it is, although in ongoing community feedback, but it is of very greater flexibility. It has not been published yet. It is on the community feedback. Procedure is going on in this. Now, thank you. Thank you so much for your time and for your attention.
Vaishali, that was great. Thank you so much. I learned something. I didn't know there was a code name, so I wasn't aware of that. That's wonderful. Thanks for all the knowledge. I know I learned some things. We have some great questions for you, so if you're ready and available, We're going to be bringing up some questions here based on what you presented, but thank you so much. It was a really good deep dive into WCAG 2.2 and exciting to hear what's next. The first question that we have is on the screen and it says, do you have any good tips or tools to add for dragging movements?
Okay, so for the dragging movements, we can the tip that we can use here, we have to check it for means as we have to check it whether the it is not dependent on the multi-point path, or as we have discussed earlier in our slides that when we are navigating and whenever the dragging feature is provided to the user, it should be means it should be clickable with the means it should be accessible with the tap or click, and it should be navigable with the tab as well, means keyboard interaction is also provided for the dragging. So we have to design by keeping these points as I taken the example of map. We already have seen in the map that the user can drag the features, and user can also use the mouse to view the means to view the larger size of the map, or the smaller size of the map, and the plus minus icon is provided there to zoom in zoom out. So in that way I think the dragging movement feature will work.
Okay, great. Yeah, that's very helpful to understand about how to move around a map. I just wasn't sure if you helped implement some place or you had a good tip and tool resource to say, oh, if you need to work on some dragging movements, here's a good library or here's a good resource. So that was the question, but that's okay if you don't have tools or resources, but I know more about it, so
Yes, I if you want I can share that particular resources that would be helpful for the dragging moment in the chat, or the team will share it on the chat, so it would be easier to understand that how we can use. And yes, we can check the properties by the developer tool as well by inspecting the code related to that in the tool. Yes.
that would be great. If you have some resources, that would be wonderful because it seems to me this is a pretty tricky thing to add. And so any help and resources would be great. So thanks so much. That would be wonderful. Let's move on to the next question. On the screen is the question, and it says, how can I stay up to date with WCAG?
Yes, there are the communities, and there are the vocab itself in the W3C. There is updation is already means mentions there, and we can use the different groups, and we can attend the different webinars where we have related to the vocab. So from there we can get the updation, and W3C also get the regularly updation related to that. So that would be helpful for us in staying updated with the vocab.
It would be great if you have like a resource link. Is there like a newsletter or how do you stay up to date? Is it just through like attending webinars and meetings or following a certain website? Uh, is that how you stay up to speed with it? Is through those? Maybe we can share those
Exactly.
links.
There are
Okay.
many communities are there. So they continuously means, as I said about the CAC 3.0. So from one of the community, I get to know, okay, there is WCAG 3.0 is on the means is on the process, and it is going on the community feedback. From there, I will have to means we just have to keep a regular check on everything that okay, what is going on as we are working on the accessibility field. So this is the basic rule that we have to keep an eye.
Yeah, sorry to reiterate it, but I always like to be surrounded by links or communities where I can stay up to speed. So any resources we have to share would be great. Because yeah, it seems like there's always some great knowledge about it. So the more we can share, that would be great. Um, let's move on to the next question. So on the screen is another question. What guidelines do you feel are most important for developers to know?
As we discussed about the WCAG guideline, So that is totally means it in the practical implication we discussed that the designers, the developers, QA teams, and the product team is going to be impacted with means they have the practical implications. So they have to means they have to be aware with the guidelines and with the success criteria that has been added in the WCAG, and they should implement or they should means they should implement the code by taking that success criteria in their mind.
Great. I just didn't know if there's any ones that you think are kind of tricky for developers or concepts that are hard for developers to grasp in your experience. Is there any particular guidelines that you seem like you come across more often than not and are challenging for developers or in your experience?
Yes, for example, means earlier when I have logged a bug related to the voice access, and that means there is a command in the voice access of showing number, and the number is not getting shown on that interactive control. Means the person with motor disability is not able to interact with that control on giving the show number command. So we have the means we have that how to fix that particular bug guideline. So I have just provided that guideline to the developers, and after by means I have highlighted that particular point. Okay, so in that way we can fix, means I have suggested a few properties based on that guideline, and after fixing that means fixing that properties, the particular control is having the number on giving the show number command. So that I think.
That's great. You're able to provide extra guidance and help people understand that, hey, we say we're going to show the number, but we're not actually showing the number. That's very disingenuous, right? So, all right. Well, let's move on to the next question. Um, oh, here we go. So, which WCAG guidelines do you think are the hardest to understand?
Okay, so I took it here two guideline. There is consistent identification and consistent navigation, because people get confused between the consistent identification and consistent navigation. They think that if the icon has been used means for example, if particular icon has been used in the left side and in the second web page it has been used on the left means is on used on the right side, so they get confused that okay, this is the issue of consistent identification or consistent navigation. They think means there is the confusion related to that, but I think after means after working with that the WCAG guideline of W3C W3C, it will helps the user to understand, and they have properly used the examples to helps the user, means anyone who is new to the accessibility, even after reading that WCAG guideline of W3C, they can means they can quickly understand, okay, this is consistent identification and this is consistent navigation, and means every guideline is very clearly and explained in very crisp manner in the W3C sites.
Great. I think we have time for a few more questions. The next question is on the screen. It says, what resources should I use to get started with WCAG?
Okay, so as I said that for the WCAG, we have to first begin with the W3C websites of the WCAG, and we have the means by area properties for the WCAG as well. Means we have to means how we can make the product accessible for or supports the assistive tech users. So basically, we have to just rely on the authenticated source, and I believe that W3C websites is the more authenticated, and yes, that would be most helpful for the user to begin or start with the WCAG guideline.
Just wasn't sure if there's other sites because sometimes, in my opinion, uh, the WCAG guidelines can feel a little hard to understand. So I love when you presented, you provide those real examples and as you went. So that was really helpful for me in your presentation. So I appreciate that. But I didn't know if there was
So
any other resources that you found that were really good at describing those resources. So
okay, okay, sure. I will share that resources on the chat window. That would be really helpful. That is also on the basis of the WCAG guideline, but that are on the simple language if you find that.
that's
Yes.
great. Thank you so much. Let's go with the next question here. Oh, a really great question. Why should organizations comply with WCAG?
Okay, so WCAG is, as we know that it is internationally recognized standard, and it creates legal compliant for the teams to make their content accessible. Means meets the success criteria defined within the WCAG. So, on meeting the criteria of WCAG, they met with the legal compliant. But on meeting the legal compliant doesn't means that it will help the user. But if we have to cover a wide range of users, or means we have to expand our marketing, or we have to expand our uh, user experience for all the users, so we have to make our content accessible to the people, means with the disabilities as well. And on meeting with the, or will comply with the WCAG guidelines, we are covering the various type of users, and we are making our product more usable and more inclusive, and we are making more meaningful content on that. So I think that this is why we should comply with the WCAG. Means there are two sides. One is of legal requirement, and one is that we are covering the wider range of users. Means we are just expanding our user base
Yeah,
for our
absolutely. So if you have customers, you want to include all of your customers, not just a segment of your customers and leave some out. So that's a great answer.
Yes,
Thank you.
exactly. Some people get, for example, if our UI or our application is not accessible, means they are blocking the users. So few of the sections will get left, and it will not reach to the person who's means who needed this. For example, if it is not meeting the requirement of keyboard focus or focus appearance, then the user who depends on the keyboard navigation will not be able to interact. So that section will get excluded from the UI or from the digital content. So on meeting with the WCAG, they will get help, and means we have a broader range of users to experience our digital content.
Excellent. I think we're on to our final question. So, what's coming up in WCAG 3.0?
Okay, so this is the secret. Once we have the WCAG guideline published on the 3.0 basis, then we will discuss on this. But uh, I'm sure that new guidelines will be added, and it will cover a wider range of users. And it will not include a wider range of users, but it will create more usability to the digital content, and it will reduce the barrier for the people's, irrespective of their disabilities. Means they can interact with the controls, they can interact with the digital content presented to the user. So I think, and let's see what's coming in the WCAG 3.0 with the new guideline.
It's great. I love that you're excited about it. And yeah, it'll be great to just help even more users and clearly define how we can meet users where they are. So that's great.
Yes, although it is going on community feedback, once the feedback and everything has been done, I believe that we have the WCAG 3.0 as well in our plate.
Have you been involved in those discussions or have you just been, it's okay, have you just been on the
No,
ends
I
watching?
no. I have just read the article, and I found that okay, that is still in the process, and we can means before see something, if it hasn't been published, so we cannot means disclose each and every part, because it is going on feedback. And after that, once everything is completed, so we can talk about that. Okay, this is the part that it is catering to the modern challenges, or I believe that it will cater more of the new modern challenges that will going to be impact the user.
Great. Well, again, thank you so much. I think we have just some final slides here, but I just really want to thank you today for your knowledge and expertise. I know I learned something with those great examples about the new 2.2 criteria, so I really appreciate your time and coming to speak to us today.
Thank you so much, Andrew. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Vishali. Okay, well, another great Alley Talks, but we'd love to hear from you. We're always looking for speakers. So We make a conscious effort. I want to make that clear. We make a conscious effort to include marginalized groups in tech in our speaker lineup. We're very intentional with our group to make sure we have the best speakers and hear from a broad variety of voices. So if you are interested, please reach out to us at team@alleytalks.com. That's an email, or you can visit our website at alleytalks.com/speakers. For those of you with IAAP certifications, Alley Talk speakers and attendees receive professional development credits. Those are CAECs, and you can get those through your IAAP for your continuing education. We're always looking for feedback and to make Alley Talks a better place. So we'd love to hear what we're doing well, and we'd love to hear new ways of things that we can do better. So please go to alleytalks.com/feedback and share your feedback with us. We really value your input. And finally, you're here for a reason. Either your friend shared this Alley Talks or this link, or you found us on LinkedIn or YouTube. But now that you're here and you saw this great content, you can follow and subscribe. So go to YouTube. We are Accessibility Talks there. You can go on LinkedIn, where we're also Alley Talks. That's A11yTalks. We're on Blue Sky, and we're also on Mastodon. So lastly, I want to thank Vaishali again and want to thank everybody for attending. And we'll see you at the next Alley Talks next month. Thank you so much.